to come on the stage and deliver his talk on lifestyle management, a cornerstone of prevention.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to be here with friends, and I'm grateful to Brigadier Nasir Samon for giving me this opportunity to be here today. And when we talk about prevention, the attitude of Dr. Saidullah Shah as he walks in with a smile on his face and brisk, that is what prevention is all about. Now, when we talk about prevention, I'm going to focus on these aspects of it. The massive interventions, quitting smoking, adopting a healthier diet, being physically active, running marathons like Saidullah Shah, and then we'll wrap it up. When I talk about the massive interventions, then I think no country will ever emulate what happened here in Poland during a transition phase from communism, and at that time when we had a crisis here, what you saw that as at a certain time butter reduced and the vegetable fats and oils increased and the exotic fruits increased, you will find here that there was a decline in the incidence of coronary artery disease. This is what happened at a massive scale in Poland. And when from here we go to Cuba, we find that in Havana, when gasoline price became enormous, people started being more physically active, and with that activity, you will find also because of the expenses involved. And I sincerely hope that we can emulate. We are going through an economic crunch in our country also, that we reduce the intake of calories, and that will reduce the incidence of coronary artery disease in our population as well. And this is exactly what started happening in this part or in this country also, that the incidence of obesity actually halved at that time when there was an economic crunch in Cuba. And I wish that we can actually propagate that in Pakistan. Now, when we look at this crisis, if I ask you this question, what were the effects? Did it decrease the mortality? Did it decrease the cardiovascular events? Did it decrease diabetes? And did it decrease cancer? The answer, I am sure, for each one of you, from each one of you would be that there was a decrease in cardiovascular events in these countries when this happened. And this is exactly what you see. The diabetes mortality reduced, coronary heart disease mortality reduced, all-cause mortality reduced. There was no effect on cancer. So I think what we need to do is a massive intervention at community levels. Go out there, talk to people, ask them to reduce their intake, and if they do so, you will find that obesity will reduce, and if obesity reduces, I'm sure that the incidence of coronary artery disease will also reduce in these patients. And from there, the ESC made this recommendation that measures aimed at promoting a healthy lifestyle at the population level. That is what is needed, should be considered, and it is a 2A indication. What we have been doing in Islamabad, and with the help of my very senior colleague and mentor, Dr. Shaukat Malik, that we've been going to the mosques, we've been talking to people there. It can be done. It should be done. And I take the name of my friend Saeed again and again because I see him every day running before he goes to London for his marathon. So this is what the cardiologists need to do. And when we came here in the morning at 7:30, I wanted to wish you in the Japanese style of Ohio gozaimasu. And that actually means it is early, isn't it? So I think that if we have that habit, if we join the 5 a.m. club and start getting up early, I'm sure that the doctors will have a very healthy life, a long life, and then they can then become role models for their patients as well. Now, what about quitting smoking? What happens?
So you can be seen anyway.
Yes, Chandigarh. All right. Now, suppose this is the score chart that we have. Forget this for the time being. But if there's a patient who has a female or a male having high blood pressure, having high cholesterol, and a smoker, you do not change anything. You don't change the age. You can't change the sex. And you don't change cholesterol. You don't change the blood pressure. Only make them stop smoking. You will reduce the incidence of coronary artery disease by half, 50%. So that is what is the major impact of quitting smoking is. So if I ask you this question, what are the consequences of quitting smoking? Is it an increased weight? Is it a quick reduction in cardiovascular risk? Is it a slow reduction? And will be no reduction? And the answer will be B. Quick reduction of the cardiovascular risk. Now, if we quit smoking, we all know that the impact immediately is very good. However, the sustained effect over 10, 15, 20 years will be the one which will bring you to that state where you are if you have never smoked. But the immediate effect will be seen if you start quitting. But whenever you ask a patient to quit smoking, what is the answer? That if I quit smoking, I will gain weight. And that is the one thing which is a deterrent for them from giving up smoking, and that's what they say. But see what happens. Here is somebody who is a smoker. Here is somebody there are people who have never smoked. And if you see the weight, as it comes down, the incidence of death in coronary artery disease reduces. After some time, there is a slight gain again. And this coincides with the weight gain. But the weight